This lady here is named Tegan. She's a good friend of mine, and I've been training her for 6 years. And what she's doing here, as a late 20-something-year-old, is she is putting a star next to her name. And not just any star, she's putting a gold star next to her name. So what this is a star chart I created about a year ago because I wanted to get people a little bit more interested in what they were doing. And I think the best form of competitiveness is firstly with yourself, and then secondly with others. So we all remember star charts as a kid, right? You know, we go to the toilet on our own, we get a sticker, maybe we tidy our room, we get a sticker. So I thought, why not bring it back? And I'll explain more about this later on. But you can see the smile on her face was the smile of someone who, when I first started training her, could do 0 pull-ups. And the gold star she's putting on there is because she's just achieved 5 pull-ups. So this seminar or lecture today is about how we can add services creatively, cheaply, and efficiently to the people we already train. So if you're a trainer, this is perfect for you. If you're even a gym owner, there might be some things in here. My hope is that by the end of today, you'll have at least a couple of things that you could take away and immediately inject into your business. And the reason I am doing this today is because I came here about 4 years ago, and I went away wanting to do everything at once. And I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to build an app. This is a brilliant idea. I'm going to build an app, and I'm going to make it like a place where everybody can have their programs, where everybody can see exercise demonstrations, we can communicate. I was like, this has never been done before. I've got a brilliant idea. So I'm going to go away and do it. I went back to Wellington, and I called up a local app developer, and they said, yep, so starting price to build the app you're talking about is going to cost you $50,000. I was like, okay. And he's like, but we probably want to add another $100,000 just to keep it going, because we know that Apple likes to update things every second week, right? So that brought me back to reality pretty quickly, because as a self-employed personal trainer, the budget for building an app is not quite there. But I'll say this as well, if you're a gym owner, the one thing he said to me, which is something to keep in mind if you're thinking about building an app, I'm going to shut it down pretty quickly maybe for some people, is you want to have a database before you build an app. Don't expect to build an app before and then make money from it and then create a database. So if you're a hotel chain, gym chain, absolutely you could look at building an app. But if you are a PT, there are so many things out there that you can do to add value to your clients. One, in the business sector, but two, to create a tribe within a tribe. So I work within a big box gym, Les Mills Gym's down in Wellington. So if you can have your client base feel connected to you outside of your session, that's better than just when you're training them, right? We all agree. When they wake up in the morning, they might feel a little bit tired, and your voice is in their head, or there's a funny thing that happens. So I ride a motorcycle, and if anyone else rides motorcycles, you know when you go past a motorcyclist, you give each other like that nod. Unless you're a Harley rider, then you just do nothing. Won't talk about it. And it's the same thing when you build a tribe within a tribe, and you have this connection. Like I had people that do some weird exercises and some normal exercises, and they kind of get to know each other. So let's get into one thing, which is an example of that. A fox runs into a forest. How far does it get until it starts running out the other side? Does anybody know the answer without shouting it out? Does anybody think they know the answer? So this is a riddle. What I do is every week I send out a group client text to everybody I train. I give them an update of what we're going to do this week generally. It will vary from person to person, but I might be introducing a new exercise, or there might be an article of interest. and then I'll end the text with something, maybe a fact, or an article to read, or a riddle. And I got told this one by a child of a client that I trained. So I sent it out to everyone, and then one of my clients came up to me at the start of the session and said, just so you know, that we had dinner the other night and my whole family got into a full-on argument about deciding what the answer to this riddle was. Like, how big's the fox? Like, how long does it run? How big's the forest? And they went full-on for an hour in a good, hearty debate, argument, trying to figure it out. And they did get there, and it was all because I just sent one text. It cost me virtually nothing if we look at it that way. So, yeah, you can figure that one out. Well, let's start with the apps. Who here's heard of Fiverr? Brilliant. Who here uses Fiverr or has used it before? Cool. So Fiverr is a service-based website which does anything from graphic illustrations to audio jingles. They do branding, they do logos, and it is a worldwide service. So what this means is that you can go on to the website and you can look up someone in the world. You can, if you want a comic done, if you want a cartoon drawn of yourself, there is guaranteed to be someone out there that will do it for you, and the price generally starts at $5. So when you go onto the website, it's very user-friendly. You can look at graphics, illustrations, everything like that. You can also post up requests. So you can post up a request for something that you want done. Maybe you want a logo done in a specific way. You can put it up and you put your price budget. It might be $30 to $40. It might be $300 to $400. You do generally get what you pay for, but there's a few advantages to this that I've found. And then people come back and they barter for your services. They say what they can do. Some of them speak in broken English. Some of them are how would you say, they have an idea of what you want to do, but then they have no idea what they're doing. But it's okay because you only spent $5. It's not like you went to a graphic designer in your city and you said, this is what I want, and here's $1,000, and you come back and like, no, that's not what I want. The other thing is, and you can actually get them to edit things as they go along. So I'll show a couple of examples. This was a few years ago. This cost me $6, and I found this guy who he has a caveman that he's animated that walks over to a wall, and he like breaks the wall and appears. Then your logo appears. So you basically send this person anything, and he'll put it on the wall, and the caveman will come along and break it. And that's it. $6, and I got to have the raw file for that, so I could put that on my Instagram, on my website, basically anywhere I wanted to put it. It's mine now. The next one cost me $10. This is one of those whiteboard animations. When I first saw these, I actually thought that the person drew it. The whole thing, you know how you have like a YouTube explanation, and it has the vivid, you'll see it in a moment anyway, and they have the animations. So you send them like texts and maybe pictures or examples of what you want to do, and this cost me $10. I'm pretty sure it was $1 per second. And this is what it looks like. This is a few years ago as well. And that's it. So I spent $10, and this is what I got. Now I can decide whether I wanted to make a full 3-minute long animation, or I can go, no, that's really not for me. And that's just what I decided to do. Does this all make sense so far? Cool. The next one is a cartoon I got designed from scratch. So my girlfriend's dad is quite an eco-friendly man. He's very into going green, and him and his partner have actually they've led the mission in Porirua to basically get rid of any and all plastic bags, which is going to happen next year anyway, but they're in the forefront of it. So we've got a Christmas present we're going to give them this year. We're going to get them reusable bags with a cartoon printed on the side. And I thought I would go really outrageous and see if there's anyone in the world that could do this, and it was. So I put up a request on Fiverr, and I said, I'm looking for someone that can do this. I need 2 paper bags dressed as policemen. Here's a photo of what the New Zealand police uniform looks like. Can you put that onto the paper bags? And I want a plastic bag sitting in an electric chair. And I want the paper bag policeman to be electrocuting the plastic bag. And I found someone, and this cost me $25. And that's the actual New Zealand logo right there. This was, I don't even know what country they're from, but this took me 3 edits, and within 2 days I had this. So there's really no limit to it. Vista Print. Most people here have heard of Vista Print, I'm guessing. Okay, it's probably a bad question to ask. Vista Print is a business card, flyer, pen, pamphlet. They do any sort of paper printing and advertising that you need. This is an example here. I know, Jeff, you said you don't do business cards anymore, but you can have one anyway. I've got 250 because they only cost me $38. So what you do is you go on the website, you can use their logo designs, or you can upload your own. You can see the prices here, 250, 500, 10,000. So I got 250 done for this weekend for networking purposes, and it cost me $38, and they generally arrive, these arrive within like 5 days. So if you're savvy with designs, you could make your own, or you could use their designs, or you could use Fiverr, right? Let's get a little bit more technical. Who here uses any form of anatomy apps? Okay, this is good. So when I studied 9 years ago, and I still have these textbooks, I have the green anatomy book. For those of you that studied 9 years ago, you know the one. The big, thick green one, and it's very detailed, and I've still got it. I found more and more that when you explain something to someone about their body, often they'll nod and go, yep, I know what you mean. So you say, oh, the quad muscle. And I had this situation a few weeks ago with a young girl I'm mentoring to become a personal trainer. I said, I'll write down all the muscles in the body you know. So she wrote down biceps, triceps, she wrote down glutes, and then she wrote down quads and hamstrings. And I said, okay, how many muscles are in the quads? And she said, oh, the quad's one muscle. I said, okay, let's have a look and see how many muscles there are in the quads. And this app is called Atlas. There's a couple out there. This one cost me $40, and it can show, I'll just go back, it can show all of the systems of the body, the skeletal, the circulatory, the nervous system, the lymphatic system, the digestive system. And it's really amazing when you have a client and you say to them, did you know that every human has pretty much the same amount of muscles, if not every human being? And the quad has how many muscles? Okay. So this is an example here. What I've done is I've screenshotted. So you're presented with the skeleton. You can add the muscles, the nerves, the arteries, the respiratory, the nervous system, the reproductive system, and you can basically pack them on. And what you can do is what I found most helpful for people is I put the skin on the body first. So put the skin on, and then you can dissect that and take the skin away, and then you can show people, okay, this is what your muscles actually look like under your skin. And then I dissect, so I've dissected all the way down to the femur on that side, and then you can say there's all these muscles on the quads, and this is how they interact. You can also do demonstrations of how the muscles move. So there's a whole gallery, I didn't screenshot it here, but there's a whole gallery of like elbow flexion, elbow extension, shoulder movements, and you can actually separate and show how those muscles work bit by bit with each movement. Then, this is probably one of my favorite functions, is there's a function called augmented reality. So, I was doing this at Lambton Keeley's Mills the other night, is you get your phone and you scan an empty area. So say I'm holding my phone here, I can show you this after if you want. I scan an empty area and then I drop the skeleton into the middle of the room. And I can zoom it to make it as big as me, or I can make it this size. And then it's planted in the middle of the room, and I can hold my phone, I've got my client next to me, and I can say, let's go for a walk around the body. So we actually walk around the body. We can walk in, we can have a look at the foot. Like I was doing this on the floor, on the gym floor, and I had my phone, and I was like, so we're looking at the ankle here, and we're looking at each individual toe and bone and muscle, and you just, like, I'm learning so much as well, because we know all this exists as health professionals, but we can do this in our lounge, and we've got, you know, thousands of dollars worth of information right in our pocket and right there. And this one here, what I did is I dissected the skin and the muscle, so you can actually see the digestive system and almost the lungs as well. Do we think that would be helpful to have for our sessions? Yeah, hugely. And for our ongoing development as well. Music. So getting into the client connection side of things, but also a bit of advertising here. I want to throw this in because this is something that's happening with Facebook and YouTube and stuff in terms of copyright. So this song here, does everyone know what royalty-free music means? So what royalty-free music is it's music that you can use without having to get any permission from it. So if you use, for example, Beyonce song, you put it on a video and then you upload it to Facebook. Has anybody had this happen to them before? And what happens is you get flagged, right? You get flagged for copyright or potential copyright. So you can actually go onto some websites, you can download music that is royalty-free and has no copyright. You can use it however you want. And you can also pay a little bit, $10, $20, $70 for a track. Kind of get what you pay for, but also, once you have that track, it's yours and you can use it however you want. So if you're doing Instagram videos and you want high quality music, there's a lot of royalty-free websites out there. So I'll get back to that in a moment because I just clicked, I put these slides around the other way. So bear with me. Spotify is fantastic for us, not very good for the artist anymore. But what I've done is I have Spotify, and I'll say this because I don't like ads. I don't know anyone who does like ads. If you have Spotify, just get the premium version. Don't get the ones with ads because they're actually increasing the volume of ads. You know, we used to watch TV shows and they'd like increase the volume in the adverts. So that's pretty much what Spotify is doing. They make the ads so annoying you have to get premium. So anyway, all I've done is I've done playlists. So warm up, chill, meditation, 10-minute meditation, flows, after workouts, medium intensity. That took me maybe 20 minutes to put together. But what that means is I've got music that I can immediately pull out for people that I want to train. So that's pretty straightforward. Well, here's another one. These are the two websites I use, purpleplanet.com and bensound.com. So it's kind of, you can choose your different genres. It can be kind of dark, kind of intense. This might be for like, you know, if you're doing like cut shots of a person training, and then it just goes into a little bit of a jingle. Gets a little bit like Tony Robbins, motivational, so forth. Yeah. This is what bensound.com looks like. So here's an example here. You've got one called ukulele, one called summer, one called creative minds, one called a new beginning. It's actually quite scary when you're listening to these because I don't know if you're primed with the word ukulele or summer, but when you play these tracks, they sound really similar to what they say. So I'll give you an example of another two. Can't remember what this one's called, but maybe we can guess. Now you'll hear something in a moment.
Shutterstock music.
That means I didn't buy it. So that little thing there is the equivalent of, you know, if you go on to Getty Images or any images and it's got that watermark across. So that means I just downloaded the whole song and because I was practicing with that track and I put it into a video that I was making and then I played the whole video just to see what the sound actually sounded like. And then I was like, okay, I like it or I don't like it. If I do like it, then I can purchase the real track. So you can download it for free. It's just got that shutterstock.com. So there's another website as well, shutterstock.com, and they do quite high-end stuff too. I didn't put that in there. Another one. It's one of my favorite ones. This one is free as well. So there's thousands out there. Even if you get into the search bar and search royalty-free music, you get loads of websites. But those three, Shutterstock, Bensound, and Purple Planet, those are the best ones we've found so far. Now that just segue awkwardly to the tripod over there and my phone. This is something which I'm building at the moment, and I encourage everybody to do because creating connection with the people you train is, how would I say this? When you're training someone, I said this at the beginning, you want them to think about you outside their session. But also if you have someone come and train with you and you show them an exercise and they can't remember it, then you want to have an exercise demonstration that they can see outside of the session. And better if it's you demonstrating the exercise than someone else because it creates a connection. So I use that tripod there and the phone adapter to video this. This is a little client testimonial video. Now, all the software I used to make this was iMovie. I used the tracks from, I think it was Bensound. And yeah, that was it. And then I just used a tripod, which cost me $100 in a phone. And like to say anyone could do this, anyone in this room could do this, and this is uploaded to YouTube, so anyone in the world can see it. And as we know, YouTube, to create a YouTube channel is free. So I'm going to play you this. It's about a minute long. This is my 81-year-old client named Maarten, and he trains for me twice a week, and he still to this day does barefoot water skiing. So I'll play you the video.
My name is Maarten.
Something I get all of my clients to do every session.
Quite amazing how my life has changed in terms of feeling fit and do some tricks and all sorts of things really. I mean, the whole body gets taken care of. To me, it's keep moving.
myself because as soon as you say an 81-year-old can do a 60-centimetre box jump, it's like, okay, you're like, enough said. Another example with him is as you can see, there's a couple of rugby shots in there. So he loves rugby. He's originally from the Netherlands, but he's lived here for about 30, 40 years. So something we do at the end of each week, I train him on a Thursday, is we talk about rugby, we do score predictions, and we get quite intense. We might even watch, sometimes we watch some All Blacks highlights between his rest periods. And sometimes the rest periods are supposed to be 3 minutes, end up being 5 minutes. I was like, if you're 81 years old, and you're still doing that, like you can have a 5-minute rest period. And yeah, so again, I put that together just over the space of a couple of sessions, jumped on my phone, actually edited it on my phone with iMovie. So just drag, dropped, cropped, less than a minute, because we know the attention span of millennials is like a minute. So uploaded that, and it cost me $0 really, because the track I got was free that I found. So if you've already got people in your mind that you're training now, get that footage. You have a phone which has, like, that's an iPhone 7, which is ancient, and it's got 4K. Like, that's incredible to think that that's got such good quality. You can immediately upload those things. And if you do, please, for the sake of cinema quality, do it in landscape, none of the Snapchat, Instagram portrait mode. If you're going to do a video like that, make sure you do it in 16:9. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's one of the worst crimes you can commit. According to, I've got a guy who works for Weta Digital, and he says, honestly, you can improve your quality of your videos by doing 2 things. First one is to make sure you shoot it in 16:9, so just landscape phone, flip it that way. And the second is people will forgive you for having average video quality. They will never forgive you for having bad audio quality. It just hurts our ears. So 2 things to keep in mind when you do that. Okay, we're going to do a quick drill because I've got balls here and I promised myself I would use them. So this has a point. I use balls as a great teaching tool for everyone I train. This one is just your usual Wilson, and this one cost me $2 from Kmart, and I've got about 100 of them. So I'm going to throw Ben one, and then I'm going to throw Tom one. And all I want you to do is just throw it to someone that you don't know, and the person that catches it, this is going to be okay, the person that catches it, try and catch it with your hand that's not dominant. Cool. So have a look around. Someone you don't know. Throw it up the back, Tom. Someone ready? Nice. Keep going, a couple more. Someone you don't know. Hey! Was that your non-dominant hand?
Yeah.
Casually. Nice, couple more. Sweet, bring it home. That was my top of the hand. Where's the other one? Yep, send it. Cool. That'll become obvious later on. The topic of mindfulness is a massive topic at the moment. I was just at the keynote with Donna, and she was starting to speak more about checking in with your body. And this is something we can't ignore anymore, right? We all realize that life, I had this realization a couple of years ago, and I said to someone the other day, it's like, you get to a point where you realize life is never going to be 100%. Like if you're operating at 80% of perfection, then that's kind of good enough. So in my eyes, mindfulness is a tool that we should all have in our toolkit. So a lot of PTs out there have one tool and one gear. It's like the builder that enters the building site with a hammer. And they're like, yep, I'm a qualified builder. And the project manager goes, great, okay, what tools have you got? And I've got a hammer, and I've got an amazing hammer, and I'm really good at just hammering stuff. And they're like, have you got anything else? No, that's all I do, it's hammer, 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 hammer. But I'm a qualified builder. It's kind of like when you become a personal trainer, right? You only have one gear, and then someone comes in and they're like, my kids were up all night, I'm tired, I'm not feeling 100%, but I turned up, is there anything we can do? And I say to the people I train, as long as you're not dead or contagious, come along and we'll figure something out that we can do. Okay? And that connection means that they feel so comfortable to tell you things and share experiences rather than that anxious feeling people go in. Has anybody had that feeling where they've had a trainer themselves and they know they're going into a session where they just don't feel right? Has anybody had that? Yeah. And has that trainer just gone with the status quo, or have they gone, we're going to change it? That's all I'm thinking about now, is that do they stick to the paper or do they change it? So mindfulness is a tool that we can just help to build more awareness with ourselves. So we know anxiety exists, we know stress exists, we know that shit's going to happen in our life, and we need an operating system that's going to be able to handle that. So I use two apps, one called Headspace and one called Waking Up. There's another one called 10% Happier, which I heard is quite good. The reason I use Headspace is I believe in finding the right teacher. Once you find the right teacher, you will pretty much do anything they say because you trust them. Now, the creator of Headspace is a guy named Andy Puttico. Has anybody used Headspace or heard of Headspace? Great. So the reason I started mindfulness or meditation is because I realized that there was going to be a point where you never know when, where you were going to face some big crisis, and if I didn't have something to deal with, if I didn't have a tool to deal with it, there was going to be different things. There was going to be different forms of therapy I'd probably go down, like alcohol or drugs or something like that. But the great thing about meditation is that the only side effect so far is good. The creative Headspace, Andy, he lived as a monk for 9 years, and then he started the business, which is essentially the app called Headspace. So he lived like a monk for 9 years, which means it was walking at this pace. He's got a talk on YouTube how they eat food like this. And he said that it took 40 minutes for him to eat his dinner, and then it was really hot wherever he was in, the climate, and they served ice cream for dessert there. The bell didn't ring. It was going to be 40 minutes before he was able to get to his ice cream. And he's explained it so much better than me. And he said that's the realization where you want to be over there when you're here. Right? You want to be at the ice cream, but you've got to do this and do it well and actually be fully mindful of your eating. Previous to that, he was a circus performer. So he's got a TED talk where he juggles, and I love balls, I love skill development, I love playing, and for me, a guy that is a high-level athlete, circus performer, a businessman, and has lived as a monk, those combinations for me was the best combination I could think of as a teacher that was going to teach me mindfulness. So it's a guided app. It looks like this. You've got all sorts of different packs: sleep, finding focus, concentration training, and it teaches you the techniques like noting or body scanning. You can actually learn. So if you went to the keynote talk this morning with Donna, these are a lot of the tools Andy uses that Donna was explaining is actually awareness of the body and what's going on. They have a free 10-day meditation, so you can start off by doing 10 days free, and then they have a subscription model. It costs about $100 a year, I believe. So in my opinion, when I first started this, I was doing 3 minutes a day, and that felt like 2 hours. And now I feel comfortable enough to do 20 minutes, sometimes I'll do an hour, and it feels so much different to when I first began. And it's just about starting. What I've done with people before is, if they're open to it, you've got to kind of find a way to introduce it to people. So I have a 10-year-old boy that I train, and he's got a lot of learning difficulties. He's got gravitational insecurities, he's got Tourette's, he's got auditory processing syndrome, he's got a grocery list full of allergies, So this kid is like into the world, very disadvantaged, but he's got an amazing heart and determination. And I said to him, I said, Rohan, when you get angry, maybe it's a question for you guys, when you get angry, how long do you stay angry for? And he said to me, usually I stay angry for 30 minutes. It's like, cool, okay. And I said, wouldn't it be cool if you could stay angry for 30 seconds instead of 30 minutes? And then as a kid he goes, that would be amazing. And I was like, well, and I explained the same scenario to him. I said, okay, let's imagine we have a tool belt. I said, we have a hammer. I said, what else do we have? He's like, we have a cow, we have a chainsaw. Okay, cool, we'll go with that. It's like, what if we had this special ingredient that could help deal with our brain a little bit more? And he goes, that'd be a great idea. And I pretty much copied and pasted explanation to a 40-year-old guy I was talking to the other day, without the cow and the chainsaw. And the message landed. And so sometimes I'll say, hey, let's start off with mindfulness, or let's end. And I just get my over-ear headphones and find a quiet place in the gym, which is probably the hardest thing sometimes when you're in a big box gym, and just do 5 minutes. Sometimes I'll do it with them, and it makes a real difference. Who's heard of Evernote? Perfect. Evernote is a note-keeping app. So what it means is that you can create notes and share notes with people you train. You can scan notes. So if you have all your paper pre-screening forms, which as of today is going to change because that Reps app's come out, but this is still valid. You can scan documents, and then you share your folders. So say I've got a folder with Christine, and I share that folder with her. She just has to download an app, and then all of her notes and everything goes into her app. So she opens it up, she's like, okay, this is my workout today. What it means is people don't have to have paper, so it's a paperless office. We are in the 21st century, and the other thing is that she doesn't have to get another email, which funnily enough, when you're selling a service to someone, you say, hey, like, I'm not going to send you another email with your program. They're like, oh, good, because I've already got like 1,000. I saw someone I trained who had 6,000 unread emails. If anyone can beat that, then let me know. But Google Docs is another one. If you don't use Google Docs, so Google Docs is free. Evernote is free, but you have to pay a little bit more for a premium subscription. I pay like $100 a year. I get 10 gigabytes of storage per month, which is reset every month. And at the moment, I've got 2,800 notes sitting on there. So I use it myself. I've got all of my documents like blood tests, driver's license scanned. So I use it personally as well. And Jeff, we were talking, well, I wasn't talking, I was listening last night about, you were saying about Paul Chimp, how he had a whole lot of post-it notes in his books. Just not in a group. Oh, OD. Ian O'Dwyer, he was talking about Paul Chimp, how he had his library full of post-it notes. And I took this idea from an author called Ryan Holiday, who writes a lot of books about Stoicism. And what he does is he puts little notes, sticky notes, in all of his books that he reads when there's something that's interesting. So I do that with every book I read. Once I finish it, I go back through it, and then I write down what that thing was on a little index card, file that away, but I also scan it and I put it into a folder on Evernote. So I've got like a digitized library of all of my references and notes. So when I write an article, I can just pull something out. And anything you scan, because it's got a tool, when you scan it, it reads your writing. So if you scan a PDF document, you can actually search that document by word. So if you have a PDF document that's 120 pages long, and you're trying to think of a paragraph that's in there, you upload it to Evernote, and then you can use the search tool to find that word or that phrase that you were looking for. And my writing, I'm not a good writer, but sometimes if I write tidy enough, it even recognizes my writing style. How are we doing for time? My help is right here. What time do you actually finish? 10 minutes? Cool. Thanks, Carl. Google Docs. Which way am I going? This way. This is what it looks like. This is Christine's folder. So this means I've just uploaded some progress videos. This is her program example there. This is what it looks like on a phone. And I'm just going to go out real quick because I'm going to show you how this works. So if I go into Evernote and I bring up her program, okay, so she gets her program, she turns up to the gym and she looks at it, she goes, oh, I've got to warm up, I've got to do a ball foot bounce for 3 minutes. Don't know what that is. Luckily Dan videoed it. Go Wi-Fi. And there's the video. So I've got over 400 video. I've got 20 minutes. Oh, cool, alright. So I've got 20 minutes, which is good. So that means I've got over 400 exercise demonstrations on YouTube, which means, and I'm still growing it, it just means that, number one, people feel like they're training with you when you're not there. Number two, you control the exercise technique quality, which is something I'm really strict on. If you just send a video, like, it's just on YouTube, just search push-up. It's like, okay, or they search squat, and then it's something like someone doing a push-up like this. So I was like, no, I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to control the technique. So since I've got 20 minutes, I'll show you what else I do with Evernote. So this is my index cards folder. So I've got a whole lot of cards there. And these are all of the folders. So I'm going to show you an example. If I search love, it semi-recognizes my writing. See that little box there? That's not right. So if I'm looking to write about a topic, such as love, I've got all of these references in books that I've read. Something else for the PTs. So I showed this yesterday at the judging, and everyone that signs up with me, they have what's called a student folder. And the student folder is everyone I train has kind of like, it's a client agreement, but also a description of things that I do. So my payment details. Today's session's free, by the way. It depends on who paid for it. So I share this folder with everyone I train. These are just links to all of the playlists I've got. If people want to know articulations or shoulder mobility, shoulders rod rotating, tennis ball bouncing layers, and here I've got a library. So I've taken a photo. I got this idea from the yoga studio I went to, and she has all of her books in like a cubby hole. So I took a photo of my folder and I put it in here, so if anyone wants to borrow a book that I have, they just look at their folder on Evernote and they can choose any books and go, can I borrow something to do with spirituality or mindfulness or whatever else is in there. Finishes and recovery, working with Dan, this is just a small agreement they read. No's and myths, a troubleshooting guide. This is something I'm experimenting with at the moment, is, when you're on the computer and an error comes up, like 402 error, and then you go into the troubleshooting guide, like what does that error mean? Or if you're trying to, for example, washing machine, it comes up with an error code and you open the pamphlet and you look at the code. So there's a lot of common questions people have in our business, right? So I go, okay, like I feel tired a lot. What could that mean? Or I don't feel motivated to train on my own. Or I've had 3 people this week ask me about keto, the ketogenic diet. You guys know what that is? Yeah. So 3 people have asked me within 7 days about that. So I should probably write something about it, even though I'm not an expert. But just to give people an idea of what it's about. So this cost me $100 per year. That's it. $100, and I can share this with, I think, 250 people, and there's that massive 10 gigabyte limit. Does anyone feel like that would be useful for what they're doing at the moment in terms of their programming? Yeah? Cool. Alright. That's just the example of the YouTube channel. MailChimp. Who's heard of MailChimp? If you haven't, you've definitely used it. It's email software, and the great thing about it is that you can get someone's email, you can plug it into your group, and you can tell when people have opened your email and when they've clicked on your links. That's really good to know, because then you can target your audience, and you can also shape your email based on what they're clicking. How much does it cost? It's free. Or you can pay a subscription if you have something like 10,000 subscribers or email addresses. A point here, especially for the millennials, okay? One of my friends was dating a guy, and they were messaging each other over Snapchat. For the first 3 months of their dating history, they didn't have their cell phone number or email. They were just messaging each other over Snapchat. Now, me in my 28-year-old life, I thought that was kind of bizarre, that you wouldn't even get someone's number. Here's the point with an email. Email is approaching the point of being almost 50 years old. So what that means is that email is been around for a while, and it's likely to stay. Okay? And if you can create a good email, people are going to want to read it. So when you're thinking about your content on Facebook and Instagram, that's all well and good, but Mark Zuckerberg could tomorrow decide Facebook no longer exists, or it could just implode or explode and not exist. And if you do all of your comms through Facebook and you have no email addresses, suddenly your connection with your clients or your potential clients is gone. So I would say get someone's email, and their number is good as well, but email's number one, and still is. It has been and still is. This is an example of an email I use. So I always get photos of the people I train, and I put them at the top. Then I say, what's in the newsletter? I do a little blurb about, it's called From the Desk at the Tree House, because I live in a little house in the bush. And then random advice along the journey. So if I'm ever stuck for things to write about, I just scroll through my index cards that I've digitized, and I just pick some things out. So the 3 great untruths, that was on a podcast episode, so I've referenced it, Sam Harris, so they can go watch that or listen to that. Drugs that negatively affect the body, and these are great topics of conversation to start with people you train. You know, they might be like, oh, I read your email, what's oxytocin? Or what do you mean by the 3 great untruths? And it's just a good way to start a conversation. You can see who's opened it. You can see the click rate. So if I'm putting up 10 links and nobody's clicking them, either I'm not doing something right, I'm just going to change the email, right? I'm going to structure it to the type of person that's reading it. So that is MailChimp. Pretty simple to set up. Websites, I use Weebly and Wix. Another point with your social media. Your social media should not be the end destination for the people you train or the people you want to train. Social media should be a funnel to get them to do something. Go to your website or email you. It should be a way where you have a call to action. So if you have a website, again, websites as old as email, if not older, right? Then you control the content. It's there, whether social media exists or not. And I made this website and it was free. I got a domain name which cost about $20 a year. So that means you can funnel people into your website, and also you can create your own content. That's a blog I wrote. You can write as much as you want, pictures. Weebly and Wix. I haven't used Wix, but it's everywhere at the moment. So has anybody used Wix? Is it any good? Yeah? It's just drag and drop, eh? Yeah, you don't have to be like matrix level coding. You just need to be able to drag and drop. Client care. Back to Maarten. Last year was his 80th birthday, and he invited me. I was privileged to go, and I was like, "What do you buy an 80-year-old?" So, for his 80th birthday, I got him his very first rugby ball, and that cost me $25. If you've been in the business for a while, you think about how much money people pay you. Spending $25 is a business expense. Spending $25 on someone to see their face light up like a 10-year-old getting their first rugby ball is really, really cool. And he's like, yeah, I'll bring my rugby ball on the session and we do some kicks. You saw him kicking over the post. So, click. Star chart. I just made up a few different exercises, pull-ups, inversions, overhead squat, 25-meter crawl, and the people get to choose the colours. So I've got Hannah and Amon, they're a couple, and they were arguing over who was allowed to get green, I think. Because like, if you have green, can't have green next to you, so you have to have yellow. It's this like married couple in their 40s. And now they get quite competitive, firstly against themselves and secondly others. If you're in a big box gym, I've got a cubby hole with all of the equipment I use when I train people. It's there for them to use for when I'm not there. And it's tidy. Jordan Peterson says clean your room. I say clean your cubby hole. The library up there, I spoke about that. Food week. So 3 years ago, I found that a lot of people were asking me about food. Like, what do I eat? Is this good? Is this bad? The answer is I don't know most of the time. But I say, hey, why don't I give them food? So I started giving them food after their sessions. And now 3 years later, I have what's called Food Week, and every month for 1 week, I give food to the people I train after their session. And food tastes pretty good after a training session, right? I've had all of these companies, Pure Delish, Good Buzz, Live Longer, Venerdi. I had Venerdi send me 31 loaves of paleo bread for free, just because I asked. I said, hi, my name's Dan, I'm a personal trainer at Les Mills gyms in the Wellington region. I'm loving your products and I have an opportunity you might be interested in. I train like-minded people who are into paleo, healthy eating, and healthy living. Would you be interested in sponsoring some of your product for them to try? And most of the time, pretty much all the time I get a reply, and the majority of the time these companies say absolutely. Because could you imagine if you're a company and someone says, hey, I've got your exact target market sitting here, and I'm going to train them, and straight after their session, I'm going to give them food. And like, I give them Good Buzz kombucha, and they love it. And sometimes I make my own food. So I make my own nut butters. That's a raw, everything-free cheesecake, gluten-free, dairy-free, refined sugar-free, cruelty-free cheesecake. It's never really cost me more than $40 a month. But the connection you get from people and the conversation you have is incredible. And then I had one of my boys, another 10-year-old boy who's struggling with a lot of things because he's got Asperger's and he feels quite isolated. He is addicted to food. And I finally got him to try my nut butter and my 3-ingredient cookies. And he was like, no, it's disgusting. I just like the rainbow cake and chocolate cake. And I gave him my bacon. And then 2 weeks later, he came back with a little glad wrap cookie that he had made himself. And he's like, I copied your recipe and I liked it. And he gave it to me, and now his mum's like, he loves your nut butter, and he's starting to try different foods. So, it's quite amazing. I promised Christine I would put her logo up separately to everyone else. This is Clean Mixes, the Bliss Ball Mix. She sponsored me like 3 months, 3 different months with the Bliss Balls. And it's just an example of, I trained her as well, but I said, hey, would you be interested in giving me some Bliss Ball mixes, and I can make them myself and give them out. And I did her baking mix last week, and I had 3 people say, oh, can I buy one of the packets? So I kind of, without even trying, I sold some of her product because she gave me some samples. So it's a win-win. Ask, otherwise the answer is 100% no. Just send an email. Just make a bad email and write it. I love calling. Like if you find the numbers at the bottom of the website on some of these companies, you call up and you get to the receptionist, and often the owner of the company answers. You just have a yarn with them. You just say what you do and if they'd be interested. Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no, but you've got to ask. A fox runs into a forest. How far does it get until it starts running out the other side? Does anybody want to guess? Give me some answers.
I'd say halfway through.
Halfway through, yes. Well done. That's the answer. So, I'm going to finish today by showing you a video because today I've called the people that I train clients, but I call them humans. Because I think once you get in this business long enough, once you get past the being passionate about health and fitness, you get invested in what OD said last night about helping people. You're just a helper. You're a problem solver. You're sometimes a therapist. You're a bit of everything. But you start to realize that as you develop yourself, you attract different people, and people are drawn to you based on the things that you do. And it's a really scary thing. I mean, I know Carl, we were talking a bit about this yesterday, about how we just have so many different types of people that come along and they almost mirror who you are, which can be quite confronting. If you're like, oh, I've got like all these energy vampires and all these negative people, and then you look in the mirror. So, without going down the track on this is just a small video again I put together using a tripod, using a phone. I used iMovie. I shot it in 16:9, and I paid $70 for the audio track, which at the time seemed really expensive. But the reason I paid more is because I was listening to a video the other day. I know it was last year of the national politician group? I might blank it is called National, yes. And they had an audio track on one of their very important videos, and I was like, that's a free one. You guys are cheap. And they just bought one, so that's why I spent a little bit more on this. So this is called Humans of the Playground, and it's 2 minutes long. And I encourage you to do this as well. It's on YouTube, it's on my website. This is Rohan, by the way. That's it. Thank you everyone. That is just a very small example, and that video costs $70 to make. So I'm sure, and I hope you've got something from today.